Briefing and requests are a critical process in most organisations and their workflows. So what we're going to look at today is a little bit around how Monday can facilitate briefing, whether it's externally, whether it's from different people within the organisation, or functionally if you're receiving requests from different teams or team members within your own workflow. So we're going to look at the different ways that you can manage that inside Monday and how it can be a starting point for your workflow, or how it can integrate into an already existing workflow with some easy add-ons. So inside Monday here, what we've got first is we've got a dashboard here that represents different ways that you can brief in via a form. So forms are inside Monday connected to a board where you can build one or multiple forms depending on how you'd like to structure it, and these can then live externally to Monday, or you can house them internally like we're doing here in a dashboard. So in this example you can see I've got a campaign brief that's extensive or expansive, where I've got a bunch of different questions that form that brief that need to be completed before submitted. In this example I've got a smaller brief where it's just showing me some simple questions that I can then utilize as a starting point. So I think some of the problems that can occur initially inside Monday when you look at briefing from a form perspective is the ability to house all that information that might be contained within the request. Sometimes it can be too cumbersome to have that all sitting within a form, and that's where you might break the form up, which will show you to have some simple questions and then either utilize a file upload with an external document or leverage Monday's document system to finalize and finish that brief. In addition to requests at a campaign level, or a request that's functional for a team, we can also have things that are specific to tasks. So you can pop in requests for tasks via a form in the same kind of way, and they can be connected down into your workflow. And we're going to talk through kind of what they look like. As we go down from this submission view, we go down into the board, and this is what happens when our brief or our request lands inside Monday. And some of the key things that we're going to touch on here is how you should structure this appropriately, the different ways we can leverage some apps that can generate that document in a more readable, or those questions and answers in a more readable way, and then how we can leverage the document system as well. Further down, we're going to look at how you can then link those briefs into your workflow. So if you have an existing process set up where you're receiving requests, you're not sure how to link it into your workflow, we're going to go and cover that as well in a seamless way, so you can make sure that any data that you are briefing in or requesting can link seamlessly into your workflow. So the most traditional way, as we've touched on, is to utilize Monday's forms to get requests in. And it's a really easy, simple way to initiate requests, and it ensures that you can do it both internally but also externally to people who might not be in Monday or people who are external to your organization. You can see I've just gone through and completed some information into this form, and I'm going to submit both this more expansive form and then also this simple one. Now, what you'll notice is those two forms are connected to the same board. So all we've done is restrict exactly what columns will show when it comes to that form. We're also going to go down here and we've got our task request that might be linked to a specific task as opposed to a big project. And I'm going to go down and I'm going to submit that as well. So as I go now into my views, I've got my detailed briefs here. You'll notice a couple of things that happen. And first, when you look at this snapshot, is you will see that all the columns aren't existing in this primary view. So as you build out really extensive requests inside Monday, you'll notice that this populates additional columns to the right and can sometimes confuse or add some extra noise around that initial view inside Monday that you might be working from. So you have the ability here to hide columns. You can see that we've just hidden the columns that we don't want to show in this particular item. Now, what I've done here is I've set the requester automatically. I've also set the brief date to whatever day it is, and then through an external integration that lives in the app marketplace, we're able to turn all those questions into a pre-formatted PDF. So you can see my expansive request here. If I open this PDF up, what it's done is it's put all those answers that I've populated in that form within a document. And the benefits of this is it gives you one single location to work from. It enables the digestion of that information might be a little bit easier, and people can kind of reference or share that PDF around if it needs to live inside Monday or then go externally. So that's how we can utilize that integration to simplify the request or the briefing process into Monday, and ensure that you still get a formatted document that people in the team can use functionally, whether they're working on that request or they're collaborating as a team. It can make that a little bit easier. So the other way that we can leverage briefing or requesting inside Monday, still utilizing the form to get the data in, is also then leveraging the Monday document system. So you can see to the left here, I've got a document that says use a doc template, and it's got a little wand on it to indicate that it's a template. So now when I create my simple request, for example, that just contains some basic core information around budget, deadline, and what our brief date is, we can utilize the doc template to click this, and then we can start collaborating and building out our request or our brief directly inside Monday using the document system. So there's a core couple of benefits related to this, is that I can now enter this information and I can leave and I can come back and my information's still going to be contained there. Especially when you're building out really large requests of information that need to go to a team or need to kick off or commence a project. Sometimes it can be really hard to contain that within a form. So you might want to capture all the critical information first to make sure that the request is initiated. And then you might want to drill down using a template to then go through and complete all the information that's required to submit or initiate that project. One of the highlights of this is that this can be a live living document that you can collaborate on. So once you brief in the request or it's going to a particular team, you can collaborate on this to communicate, I'm not sure about this request, I need some more information. And this can become a live living document that enhances your workflow. So we can see here, I can now reply or resolve these comments within that, and I get a version history also and a chain of activity. So this becomes a living document that can go down within your workflow and can supplement that initial request phase or enhance that brief that comes through the form. You could just also utilize the doc template on its own without a form, or you could use the form by itself and convert that to a PDF. Some of the challenges if you go to a PDF is, if you require more information, you need to go back. If it's automatically generated, sometimes you'll need to update that brief, and that could be changed within your workflow to identify that, okay, once I've confirmed the brief, want all the information that's been requested, that's when I would turn it into the PDF that I want the team to utilize when they're working on this particular request or whatever it is that comes into the workflow. Now the final piece to leverage there is once the request comes in, that's great, we've got a place to house it that it's connected to. In our example here, we submitted our task request, which now shows our information that we put into our PDF. Becomes really simple and clear to use. Now down in our workflows, we want to pull that information in. So there's different ways we could match it automatically based on the ID of the brief. We could also just utilize a manual component where when we're working on a task within our workflow, it might be in a specific project board or an area where we live and work every day. We can pull in that brief really easily. I can just click on this and you can see how it's going to bring in my PDF against my task because I've created that connection between the place where I brief and receive my requests and the place where I do my work. So you've created a bit of separation there. The ability to connect those is really critical. So now as I'm the person working on this task, I can reference the initial request information. I can ensure that this is everything I need to complete and tick off this work. I can also bring in the Monday brief document that we utilised and shared in terms of how that can be collaborative and live. If this is shared down between boards, I can collaborate on it from my spot where I work all the time. So that's how we can do it manually. We could also create an automatic linkage to briefs based on some kind of ID system really easily, and I could show you how we can do that. So with that automation set up, when I go into my particular brief that I want to pick up, I just pop in that brief ID, and then now this automation will reference my brief location to be able to pull in that particular brief that matches that ID. So we look over into our brief board, we've got that reference there, and that automation will pick up that linkage and add it into my column here automatically. That's how you can utilize the briefing and request process to ensure that one, it's simple for you to initiate requests in, and two, you can leverage as much as Monday as possible to ensure that you're bringing your work out of those siloed sheets or particular Word docs or Google Docs that you utilize to brief in and supply information and enhance the collaboration that can happen inside Monday. And briefing and request is something that happens every day. You can utilize a form for it. How you execute that form is really critical, making that form as simple and easy for the team to use as possible, and then leveraging the different ways that you can utilize Monday to generate an automatic PDF that's templated in a way that you like and easy to digest, or utilizing the document system with an easy to use column that can be generating a document from your template. Within this, what we've utilized primarily is the DocuGen app, which is available in the App Store. And some of the settings in here allow you to create that document that we referenced throughout that process. And it's a really easy to use app with simple settings that can help you create these documents when they land directly inside your board from a form submission to ensure that you capture all the columns. It's really powerful, easy to use, and I highly recommend it. Where you can, leverage documents inside Monday as part of that document system. It's really powerful. It's a great tool that you can use and build out those templates, then also collaborate further within your workflows really easily. So we can see now that automation's triggered and it's now added that automatically in. So you have the possibility to leverage automation down at your workflow, connect it to your briefing and request structure, and ensure that the information that gets handed over between teams, either at a starting point or during the workflow, is simple, easy, and can be seamless.